They deserve my faith today, and so I am giving it to them. I've seen the spark, right? I have seen the light, Abstract.
Okay.
And the homeboys, I'm really excited to see what they have to bring to the table.
I'm doing you a huge favor. The moment that you say, oh, because I'm Malaysian, they're Malaysian, I'm supporting them, that means they are not good, and you're just working on faith. Ah, you see?
Oh, but I am working on faith, though.
But you gotta have to work on their mechanics and macro.
And the basis of support is faith. You gotta have faith first.
Maybe he's the curse.
Oh.
Maybe you shouldn't have predicted homeboys this time.
Nah, it's okay. I'm not Lavelle.
Okay.
Okay. Fair point. Let's condolences, Lavelle. Now, let's just run through onto the pick ban phase right now, because right off the bat, we are already looking at Roger, Angela, Arlott. We've got Chip, Moskov, and Link that has already been thrown into the banning pool.
You know, I think there's one thing that's really important to note before we get into this drafting phases. I think one of the main issues with TLPH earlier on was the fact that maybe they needed a little bit more time to adapt to the meta, right? So we're going to see exactly what prioritizes are going to come forth here, and it looks like the Harith is going to be picked up first by homeboys. Now, people have found and teams have found a lot of success on blue side. Zafa, do you have the same sentiment?
I do think that having blue side is very valuable nowadays, because with the way that the meta has developed, yes, there's a lot of different power picks that are available, which would ordinarily be a sign of red side superiority. But because of the strength of each of these picks individually, being able to choose the one that you want to draft around the most at the very beginning has increased a lot of value. That's why you push the pressure onto the red side to have to get rid of heroes like the Ling, like the Moskov, to make sure that these kind of picks don't show up.
But I'm quite surprised, right? Moskov being in the first phase of the ban. Is this respect or not? Because usually we see the Moskov getting banned in like the second phase.
I will admit that Nets doesn't play a lot of Moskov overall. Harith is actually a lot more of a comfort pick from him. But we already watched the games yesterday. Moskov was basically responsible for turning games around multiple times. It's just the sort of hero that scales so well that he's going to be scary no matter what.
Now, I think it has come to the point whereby Moskov is so annoying in the end game, and most of these teams are generally wanting to play over to the end game scenario to really find themselves a win, whereby they can be more comfortable with how the state of the game is going through thus far.
Sure.
But for now, let us just run through the picks coming in for both of these teams, with homeboys picking out onto the Harith, Valentina, and Terizla, while Team Liquid PH have gotten themselves the Edith, Zask again, and Hayabusa.
Yeah, it's a strong lineup here from homeboys, right? And it's definitely setting up for an assassin pick. With the Terizla being placed in the EXP lane, we do have a lot of mid prio as well, with the Valentina, and of course gold lane prio with the Harith. Now, I think Team Liquid PH, they understand this. That's why the Fanny has been respected out of the board. And they're also trying to make sure that this Harith has a good lane, right? Carry gets taken off the board as well. I think one of the things that we found really succeed against the Harith, however, was the Melissa. What do you think about Melissa in the gold lane against the Harith?
We haven't seen Melissa in Stream B thus far. I'm not too sure if the other streams have seen any gameplay of her recently, but she's definitely not one of the gold lanes that you see prioritized these days. Yeah, it can work because she really hurts in the early stages. It's so hard to lane against her, and especially when you're on a hero like Harith, you really aim to win the gold lane. So if you're already put behind early, it loses out a lot of that window of opportunity. The problem of Melissa is that her ability to carry games is a lot lower these days, because even though she has that ultimate, assassins jump on her very easily.
So speaking of the Melissa, we've got a lot of talks about the marksman that Team Liquid PH gonna have to pick up. But unfortunately, with Claude and Carry out of the picture, that Melissa pick might actually just surface, unless Team Liquid PH understands that there is a possibility that homeboys will want to play something even more aggressive, despite the fact that Fanny and Ling has already been banned out. There could still be assassins that is available for homeboys. And you know the drill. Whenever there is an assassin on opponent's side and you are super afraid of giving them that kind of snowball, you naturally just revert over to a Ruby gold lane, where you are just sandbagging your own lane.
I don't really think it's going to be a Ruby gold lane here. I figured it would most likely be a Beatrix, because this is kind of the pocket pick for players like Benny QT. When you've run out of other marksmen, Beatrix is just always a good failsafe, and she's pretty strong in the early game as well, so actually able to put up a pretty solid 1v1 against Harith.
I don't know. I'm kind of
Beatrix.
worried about the Beatrix, honestly, in lane against the Harith. I agree with everything that you mentioned before that, but the lane with the Harith, I think that's going to be very interesting to see. A player like Benny Cutie should have the experience to understand how that 1v1 works, but this is quite interesting, right? Bane. We've been seeing a lot of Bane really resurface into the meta, and Akaja. Now that's really what I wanted to get to, right? The Beatrix needs proper setup for her to really pop off. I was thinking something like the Tigreal, but it was HB that was picking it up. So with the Kaja Beatrix, this is a combo that we've seen from way back when. I like this draft coming in.
I absolutely understand how they have drafted a Beatrix leading into a Kaja now. Understandably, whenever you want to, whenever you have a Zask, you will want to play a little bit more pick-off, especially since you can ramp up the damage coming from the Death Ray. But not only can they take advantage of this Zask, they can use a Beatrix who can really burst people down that is within the Divine Judgment, or you can even double dip into having some nice zone control when it comes down to Nebulo's Passion or Banet's Rage. And that is where Beatrix really shine, being able to dip her toes in every single segment, whereby she has high ground, she have wave clear, she have crowd control, not crowd control, but she have aerial denial, she got burst. It's pretty insane of a marksman, and I'm super excited to see what exactly Team Liquid PH have got in store for us. As for now, we're going to be jumping into game number 1. Thank you over to Eterna. We'll invite her back over to the game right after this game. But for now, how is this gonna be between Homeboys versus Liquid PH?
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats because we are gonna be jumping into game number 1. Homeboys up on the blue side versus a Liquid Philippines on the red. And I think this is gonna be a very interesting battle as well because it does seem clear to the Homeboys, they've got a team fight lineup. Liquid, they got a pick-off lineup. It should be pretty fun.
But it isn't fun indeed. Whenever we see a early game pause, it always leads into something fun. You can't disagree with that, right?
Fun with quotes.
Fun with quotes. I mean, subjective. But now at least we have a lot of time to really just kind of digest what is going on and what we can expect coming in from Homeboys lineup, or what we can expect from Team Liquid PH lineup. I did very briefly talk about the fact that Team Liquid PH kind of thrives in that pickoff, considering that we've got JP that can literally just Divine Judgment someone. Benny Cutie can take advantage of it. Sanji can take advantage of it. Heck, sometimes even Carl TZ can take advantage of it. And I believe that they still have pretty strong game when it comes down to team fight. But how about Homeboys? This kind of look like they are just going all in on the team fights.
Homeboys is just straight up really strong at 5v5, right? They have Penalty Zone, they have Implosion, they have the Deadly Catch. If Liquid decides to go for a direct 5v5 lineup, Homeboys should win on paper almost every single time. Yes, Liquid's still gonna have a pretty good team fights, right? They got strong AoEs with Beatrix and the Zask, but it still doesn't quite match up if they all get caught together. So they want to be the ones controlling like how the fight is ongoing, I think.
I would believe that Team Liquid would be the one that really wants to control and be the pace setter, especially since you would want the Kaja to constantly be roaming about, open up the river a little bit, trying to get the true dominance around. Understandably, yes, we're looking at Tigreal. He's a lot more beefy as compared to Kaja, but you gotta have to understand that Kaja definitely have got the range to outpoke against this Tigreal.
Now, I personally do want to ask, right? I think it's pretty easy to look at the lineups and say Homeboys is team fight, Liquid is pick off, right?
Yeah.
But how about phases of the game, right? Who should be at the advantage in the first few minutes, and who should be playing more like aggressively or defensively?
So at least what I believe, right? You can verify for me after that, right? We've got Edith as well as Teresa in the EXP lane. You will want to leave these two alone. It's just a wet noodle fight all day, every day, probably all the way until 5 minutes until one of them gets unlocked. Now, at least when it comes down to Harith versus a Beatrix, we know that Harith is outright just going to be sandbagging the lane and being able to use a Synchro Fission to, number 1, poke Beatrix, and number 2, clear the wave at the same time, giving this Harith great lane priority. But now it leaves over to the question about Zask. Is he really all that meta? How does he play onto Valentina, having Valentina being one of those mage heroes that have the best, in lane priority, probably fighting against Novaria as well as Lilia. So to answer that, I would say that Homeboys, very likely they are the one that would really want to encapsulate the entirety of the river and try to put themselves on the map in the goal lane as much as possible to really oppress this Beatrix, to make sure Beatrix don't get the farm that they want.
That does make sense to me, and I even remember back in the day, or maybe not quite as recently, but Homeboys used to be very well known for being kings of the river in MPL NY.
Kings of the river.
They really like playing those river fights and have a tendency to win out river fights as well, so if they're able to play around that phase, might be good for them. Of course, it's a different player lineup than those days, right?
Yep.
So I'm very interested to see what kind of identity this version of Homeboys will forge for themselves.
I believe that all in all, Homeboys, as long as they play safe, right? They play safe, they gotta group themselves up together. The one thing that they would really be afraid of would be Sanford setting things up for the team. Otherwise, whenever you're just grouping up as 5, you're not afraid of Kaltizis, Ogi Shadowkill, you're not that afraid of Sanji when it comes down to the Dominator's Descent Death Ray, because you would want to try to kind of cycle the damage between your front lines. You have Maul, you have Ye, and you have Amol. They all can really cycle all these damage relatively effectively. And let's not forget about the fact that IMU coming in from Udil would be able to play a very major part. What kind of roles they want to fill, or rather, what kind of gaps they want to fill. Do they want more catch and they can actually get the Divine Judgment? Do they want to clear waves, or do they want to just deny an area, deny a zone that Sanji has managed to capture for himself through the Nightmarish Spawn? Then Nibiru's Passion, Bennett's Rage, all these are relatively good ultimates that you may potentially steal. You want to get out of situations fast? Ogi Shadowkill.
It is actually a really nice game for a Valentina, right? I feel like Udil has basically his pick. Whatever he needs is already available for him on the side of Liquid, like you mentioned, right? You have Setup in Divine Judgment, you have Escape in Ogi Shadowkill and Dominator's Descent, and then you have Damage in Primal Wrath or Nibiru's Passion. It's just so many different things you can go for, but we also have to note, when it comes to drafting, right, there's usually 2 ways to counter Valentina. You either don't give them any good ults at all,
or give them
everything. Or you give them so many that they can't choose one. And well, I think this very clearly falls into the latter. Could that be a problem?
I would say that you probably would be pretty happy with the kind of ultimates that you're able to get, because yes, you are able to throw this Valentina with so much ultimate that you gotta have to force Udil to go kind of micromanage what are the ultimates, what are the things that I gotta have to do and really keep out for. So this actually makes Udil have a little bit of a difficult time to really understand right now what do I need. It forces him to be a little bit greedy based on the situation and react based on that. So that is technically quote-unquote the bad thing. But the good thing, if he's really damn good with Valentina and waits for the right time, the justification will come in and he will be super, super gratified.
Well, I guess we'll find out whether we will see that gratification here as we jump right into the land of Dawn and
back to us again.
Back to us again. Guys, you guys, it's okay. You know, we gotta let it simmer.
Yes.
Right? There's something called marinating. Yeah, pressure cooker.
Marinating in the pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Hey.
You gotta wait for the good things to come.
Good things comes to those who wait.
Yes.
Hey. We're just kind of like fumbling the sentences one way or another, but it creates a very nice sentence altogether.
Yeah, good things will come to those who wait, right?
Yeah.
If you guys waited for us to get things right,
hey,
you get the right answer. Hey, that's good, right?
Now, of course, we have more or less been talking about the lineup that we expect out of Homeboys, what is going to be their win condition in the early stages, Team Liquid also in the early game and such. But let's be honest here, most of the time, it is not about the early game. We have seen from many of these teams, they win the early game very well, but the late game just kind of meh.
I do agree. The early-late game phase kind of question, I think, has become a lot bigger in the current meta. In the past, you can kind of argue between playing different phases, because when you have tank junglers around and you have really bulky roamers, then you can kind of get away with making mistakes here and there. But now, when there's so much aggression, so much damage flying all over the place, you make a single mistake, your entire lead is gone, you fall super behind, you don't have any late game scaling, and you realize, oh, I'm just stuck in a bad situation. So looking at the drafts, who do you think is more likely for that to happen to?
Honestly, it kind of falls to me to be Liquid PH. Their draft is a little bit more difficult to execute, in my opinion. While for Homeboys, all they gotta do is kind of throw ultimates, right? You got the Tigreal with the implosion, you got the penalty zone from As long as you see the right moments, and if your team is able to catch up to you, it's pretty normal for these teams to know what they want to do.
I
It
can
comes
see where
very
you're coming from.
instinctually.
Yeah, like when you have all these big ultimates together, when you have so much AoE and teamfight capability, it seems like it'd be a lot easier to approach things, right? You go in, penalty zone, implosion, deadly catch, the entire enemy team is just almost dead already.
Easier to execute. But
Liquid
it
needs a
falls
bit
hard.
more finesse, yes.
Yes.
But I think anyone who has played pub games and has had heroes like Tigreal and Terizla on their team and watched them whiff time and time again, may not agree with you.
You know, you happen to be on the unfortunate side, you know? Once you fall hard because there is a long cooldown off of that, and there's really nothing much you can do during that situation and during that time. But for now, while we have the time, it's great for us to be able to talk a little bit more about the team head-to-head between Homeboys and Team Liquid PH. And as you can pretty much tell, we've got quite a bit of a interesting pick when it comes down to the most pick from both sides. Homeboys, especially when it comes down to their season, or rather when it comes down to their career, we've got Xavier, and we have seen that ourselves with our own eyes in MSC.
Udale, he loves Xavier, he loves to be aggressive, he loves playing on these mages that are able to do that damage. But let's come back to that a little bit later, because we are once again back in the land of Dawn. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get underway. Again, this is Game 1 between Homeboys and Team Liquid Philippines.
I can already tell that this is gonna be a good game, because good things come to those who wait. Every single one of you guys that have been waiting, this is gonna be a good game.
You guys have been marinating. Oh, hold on. Ogi Shadow kill. Okay, not going to be enough here for CallTZ to get a kill.
Yep, a quick little poke ought to be enough for Team Liquid PH, but the purple buff is eventually going to be waiting for Team Liquid, or rather the other way around. CallTZ is going to be waiting for the purple buff, while Homeboys can actually take this advantage to try to gain control over the turtle as soon as they can, just so that they can kind of push this Hayabusa away, gain themselves quite a little bit of a lead before they even try to put themselves in their tougher spot 3 minutes into the game.
And the zoning seems to have worked, because Homeboys are able to secure the first turtle of the game with no contest from Liquid. We could actually even see on the map that Maul was pressuring Carl in his own jungle, so Hayabusa just couldn't approach the objective at all.
Yeah, it's definitely great, especially since right now we're looking at the Kaja still stuck at level 3. So no threat coming from Kaja just yet. The pick of comp from Team Liquid is not quite available for their picking. So you're gonna have to let it cook a little bit more, as JP eventually made his way up to the top lane. Benny Cutie just reached level 4. So this is right when this is completely right, and it's going to the right way that I was expecting.
Ooh, Flicker, Divine Judgment gonna find a Heart of Implosion a bit too late, but Zaman Force comes out. Nets, can he escape? No! Dominator's Ascent finishes him off. First blood gonna be claimed by Sanji. Sanji now gonna need to escape from Udil, who's taking a lot of damage. Ogi Shadow Kill gonna finish out Valentina, and the Daily Cat comes out, not gonna find Carl, who is right on top of Maul. Penalty zone going to miss completely, and Maul will pay the price. Triple kill for CallTZ, and make that another, as Homeboys are effectively wiped out from the top lane.
Well, that's a good game indeed. Unfortunately, when it comes down to Homeboys, they started that fight off, or rather, they got caught with their pants down. Team Liquid PH started off with a great flicker out from the side of JP, managing to even pop onto Nets and leaving Nets to a sliver of health. And I'm not too sure whether that was meant to be, but they left Nets alone for a longer period of time, making Nets think, I can just flicker away and I'll be safe and sound. But nope, that is where Sanji comes in and pop off the kill. And we gotta have to really zone in to see that Homeboys, they are trying to do something against Team Liquid PH, thinking that they can turn the tides around. They want to gain something. They want to go for trades, only to find out that they are in an utterly bad spot.
So you know how I mentioned earlier that when you play pub games and you watch your teammates whiff their ultimates?
Yeah, your curse came in a little bit too early for that.
A little bit sooner than I would have expected. But Homeboys, that was very messy, right? Liquid, they managed to take the fight exactly the way they wanted to. 1 by 1, splitting it up, skirmishing, and Homeboys just couldn't find the 5v5, even though it was basically all players in the top lane. And now once again, penalty zone gonna be launched down, but Divine Judgment cancelled. JP gonna be the first one down. Deadly Catch not gonna stop the turtle being stolen by Kaltizi, as Homeboys now gonna be whittled down slowly. Already a double kill for the Hayabusa once again.
So I gotta have to say that Team Liquid getting themselves the turtle and of course a good amount of kills as well is pretty much expected. But Homeboys themselves, they gotta have to really take this a lot more seriously, as due to the fact that hold on a second.
Jumping back in, gets pulled by the Sacred Hammer, gonna actually take quite a lot of damage, but Quad Shadows are in position. He gets out, no problem at all.
Now back to the topic whereby Homeboys, they had a great start with the first turtle being taken and JP definitely lower level, Benny Cutie at a lower level. Homeboys should have expected the oncoming assault coming from Team Liquid PH, but caught with their pants down. It's unfortunate, and now Team Liquid has already brought about a total of 3.5 thousand gold lead.
Udil trying to do some damage. Implosion going to be used here. Not going to be enough from Benny Cutie. JP going to get caught in a 1v3 situation. So a little bit of a plus for Homeboys.
The Homeboys sitting on a breaking point. You can pretty much tell that they are definitely still in the game, but it's not going to be all that easy at all. The main priority that they're going to have to work with right now is to keep every single one of these turrets standing. The moment that you give Team Liquid the middle lane tier 1, you pretty much lose control of your side lane jungles, which is something that Hayabusa will make full use of very effectively. He will wipe out every single one of these waves. And down at the bottom, unfortunately, being able to get one.
And Udil got pulled as well. Divine Judgment. Already 2 players dead on the side of Homeboys, and the fight really just hasn't even began. Team Liquid effectively dismantling the front lines of the Homeboys.
Team Liquid, they are doing God's favor for themselves. They went in for the proxy, ensuring that, you know what, you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to take it all for myself. I will zone you out, take the tier 1s, and you can't do anything about it.
And we can really see that. It feels like Homeboys are floundering in the water. Oh,
what?
Oh, I think that may have been... That was a crab claw cannon snipe.
Hey.
I didn't even see that. But Amal getting a cheeky kill onto Sanji in the mid lane. Maybe a misposition. Sanford gonna get scouted out, taking quite a lot of damage. Already down to half HP. Gonna pop the Primal Wrath, make use of that passive. Penalty zone finds 2 in the back line, but no follow-up. Amal gonna be able to secure the turtle with the Deadly Catch as Sanford is finally finished off. JP now left all by himself, and Homeboy secures their very own double kill in the hands of Udil.
It's a very surprising outcome coming from the side of Team Liquid PH. I think Sanford himself also didn't realize or didn't expect why is he just not dealing damage. It's a full Wrath Primal Rage. He's going 1v1 against Udil, and Udil just walked away, went in for the kill onto him with completely unscathed. Is very questionable. Not too sure exactly what went on there, but regardless, Homeboy is the one that did manage to get themselves the third turtle, and they are encroaching into the later stages where the Lord eventually comes out.
Kaltizi with the Sky Piercer proc gonna solidify the legendary streak by finishing off Udil, getting a little bit of vengeance for the double kill he got earlier, and this Hayabusa is a threat. 8-0-1. Kaltizi, clearly the carry of the implosion, gonna find JP before he gets the Divine Judgment. Maul gonna be able to walk away, never mind. Legendary from Kaltizi once again. Amal gonna be finished off by the nearest passion, and Liquid PH continues pushing forward, but Metz has popped his Zaman Force, doing quite a lot of damage, finishing off JP. In the meantime, Kaltizi in the back, looking for Yetri. Snipe finds it! Sky Piercer procs once again, 10 kills for Kaltizi.
It might not be the end for Kaltizi though. He didn't even manage to use his Ogi Shadow kill throughout the entirety of the fight. It only went off cooldown midway through. He was definitely looking for an angle to go in, but you know what? Might as well just clear some creep waves fast enough. Now, the fight in the middle lane definitely seemed a lot worse for the side of Homeboys. They threw in so many of their ultimates. They would use a single implosion on a one-man catch, but yet they didn't even manage to bring that one person down, or rather, it took quite some time, rather. Benny Cutie even have to expend the Nibiru's Passion, Benet's Rage, everything thrown right out. Great high ground, though, but Homeboys, they will still be able to close in the gaps once all of these ultimates has been depleted.
Yeah, both teams do still have to be somewhat careful, but I do feel like, hold on, Flicker or Shatter gonna find the onward onto the Bane, right into Bennett's Rage, not enough to finish off a Mal. Kaltizi will put a stop to that. Legendary streak continues. JP dropping low. They won't be able to finish him off, but they do find Benny with the Zaman Force, and now JP gonna be chased down by Nets as well. In the meantime, Kaltizi in 1v1 with Yetri in the backline, gonna get that win. Double kill for the Hayabusa once again, and a win from Udil on the sideline, but Kaltizi is on a rampage. The Flicker misses! Nets does not get over the wall, and that's gonna be a maniac for Kaltizi. He wants the Savage. Can he get it? That's a Savage there, ladies and gentlemen. Kaltizi, the GOAT, he's still got it.
Those people that are counting out Team Liquid PH, well, look at this game. We're only 9 minutes in, sub 10 minutes. We're looking at a Savage. This have effectively brought Team Liquid PH so high up on the economy ladder. And I'm pretty sure that they are way off curve now. Homeboys definitely will be afraid.
They are afraid, and anyone would be afraid when they are faced against a 15-0 Hayabusa with Skypiercer as well. Kaltizi, he has just been treating this game as his playground, and you can tell that Liquid Philippines just having a more comfortable, more finesse in the way they're taking their team fights, completely outmaneuvering Homeboys.
I think their Homeboys at this point in time, they do have to expect this Lord marching in from the top lane. It's understandable that all of these other turrets is going to be taken down by, hold on a second.
Okay, not quite. It was close. I thought they might get caught, but it looks like Homeboys are able to retreat in time, though this is going to cost them basically all their external towers.
No conceal from Team Liquid PH as well, but I guess that they are just taking their own sweet time since the Lord is still slowly marching in from the top lane. I think that Team Liquid, they want out of this Lord a lot. They want a lot more out of this Lord, right? Especially after getting a Savage. They know that they are on a lead, and they will want to play like as though they are having that amount of lead.
Oh, Kaltizi looking for Udil. He does so much damage. Udil's just gone. The Valentina, a non-factor. But so is the Lord. Homeboy is going to be able to take it out without taking too much damage to their top inhibitor. Will Liquid continue?
I felt that Ogi Shadow kill was a little bit personal onto Udil.
Maybe. Hold on.
Personal.
Flicker Divine Judgment gonna find one. That is Yetri. Penalty zone comes out. Whiffs once again. Deadly Cash not gonna do anything either, as Team Liquid are just pelting Homeboys from outside their base. Only Net surviving, being slowed down by the Nemeric spawn, doing a lot of damage. Oh, he gets the shutdown. The 16-kill shutdown. And we're going to miss run runners as well. Dominator's Descent gonna be stolen by Udil to zone the rest of Liquid away. But Sanford and JP aren't giving up on ending the game right now. There's still one minion left. They're looking to end this. They find Nets. Killing spree for Benny Cutie. Udil has to defend another couple of seconds before the rest of Homeboys comes up. A Knife Sticker Earth Shatter, but Udil is able to dash away. That's all three inhibitors dead. Renner's Apathy blocked by Yetri. Homeboys will live to fight another day, but what will it cost?
Team Liquid got a lot more than they asked for. I'm pretty sure that they wanted to get one of the inhibitors, but with the unfortunate situations coming from the side of Homeboys, with a little bit of mistakes here and there, Team Liquid PH ultimately took advantage of every single one of these mistakes and broke down all of these turrets. I gotta say though, Nets just sacrificing himself in order to keep the core intact. Very much worth it, but unfortunately, how far can they go since we are looking at a 9,000 gold deficit?
Yeah, the gold deficit is just way too high. Normally, getting a shutdown on a 16-kill streak should really pull you back into the game, but Homeboys are so far behind.
Full item Hayabusa, by the way.
Yes, I think he's been full items for a long time, honestly.
For a long time, really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I can't confirm, but I would not be surprised.
12k gold, yeah. It's fair enough. Roughly about 10,000 gold is where you will be able to max it out, especially since the Skypiercer is deathly cheap.
Homeboys maybe a little bit too far out here, not able to contest the Lord, but looks like Liquid isn't planning to full dive. They know they have the Lord now, they have the wave advantage, there's no need for them to commit here, they can just end with the next push.
There is still a lot of respect that Team Liquid PH have gotten for the side of Homeboys. They know that they don't necessarily have to force it, they don't have to be desperate. It's only 13, close to 14 minutes into the game. Kaltizi is already online, Benny Cutie is going to be the next on, so they can wait all they want, but unfortunately, I don't think that they are gonna give Homeboys that luxury.
Definitely not. No towers left, barely any minions to play with. The waves being synced by Liquid Philippines. This could be the end of game 1. Flicker Divine Judgment finds the Bane. Amal's just gone. Mega kill for Benny Cutie. Meanwhile, Cortese comes in from the side. Ogi Shadow kill, dropping all of Homeboy so low, so fast. Udil's already gone. Implosion comes in from Maul, but there's no one to follow up on it. They're already dead. And so is the Crystal. Liquid Philippines will clear game 1 with no sweat at all.
I gotta have to say, this game definitely seemed pretty darn easy for the side of Team Liquid PH.